Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so wake up this morning, intent, intent on doing some of the things that I thought I should have done yesterday. Looking up different housing assistance, any emergency housing assistance, homeless uh, stuff, whatever would be available to people who are faced with what it is that I'm going to be facing very soon. And I did a little bit of clicking around. Of course, uh, it's Saturday, so the HUD offices are closed. All of that stuff don't open till Monday. So I think that's the science behind giving people 10 days without actually having the weekends count or whatever, is because the weekends you can't get the sort of services you'll likely need in order to address the problem at all. So uh, I'm rolling with the punches. I still don't regret the mistake, because it is a mistake. I don't sit here and relish on the mistake of not taking the 60 days, uh, because at the end of the day, that doesn't serve me very much. It would be nice now if I'd have known how difficult it is to get certain things done, if I would have respected the time a bit better and forced them to look at my evidence a little more. But I still feel like I don't believe that God really wanted this to go any other way. And I have to live that way now that the mistake has been made. Can't sit back and let that part enter my heart and say, oh, why didn't you? I didn't, because it was just not meant to happen. And I wasn't wise enough to do something different. And I was by myself without a lawyer. So that's why I didn't, because I was out of my wheelhouse. And that's the lesson for everybody to learn. Don't walk in a situation like that. Even if you're like me, do your very best to get somebody next to you to help you address the stressful things so you can have everything you need when it's time for you to deal with the stressful stuff. And it's not like that wisdom wasn't in me, but the temperament to do it based on the way I am just made it so that I just didn't. And so I'm looking up all the stuff as continuing the conversation. I was looking up all the stuff online, and I found some good things, but none of it quite fit. It's like they excluded me. That's what it was. It was like, okay, we got what you need, but it's only for people in this area. We got what you need, but it's for veterans. We got what you need, but it's for the LGBTQ. We got what you need, but it's only for families. It's like, I agree, because all of those folks are probably going to need more than a single man. However, when that single man didn't just fall on hard times, but he's dealing with a mental health issue that he's struggling with, you're trying to find something for that. It's like, okay, where's the mental health services? Well, it's only for people who are already outside. Okay, where's the emergency house services? It's there, but it's only for people with children. Okay, well, what do we do with the mental health services? It's cool, but you gotta have proof that you are certified with mental health concerns. Well, you guys don't do that. No, you gotta go somewhere else for that. Okay, so it's like I'm starting to realize in real time that my thoughts about there not being any help for me may actually be the case. Like, for my specific issue, where you're cognizant, self-aware, but can't stop yourself from doing certain things, I don't think I'm crazy enough to get the help I need. I've always thought that. Now I'm looking and I'm finding that is kind of the case. I'm gonna have to take the route that a sane person, really sane person who could do everything without any struggles, has to take to fix the problem, according to what it is I'm looking at. And so I like the faith that the Lord is applying to me. Say, yo, you're struggling, but I trust you with your struggles to do what everybody else do, because that's what I've been dealing with my whole life. But I failed a lot, as you guys could see. If I had it all together, I would have never been in this position in the first place. If I had the temperament to do that from day to day to day all life long, this wouldn't be going on. So it's like, when you really do have a disability, but you really don't see anything that quite fits what you need in a time of crisis, it just makes you feel like, like you don't have any help available to you. Now, granted, when I went to my mindset, I was sitting up here thinking about all that, and of course, it got a little shaky when I started realizing I wasn't finding what I needed and how many days are left, which is about 11 days, real life days left before I have to be where I need to be. And it's one of those situations where it's like, okay, I'm fine with continuing to work on myself and get things done, but dealing with stress as it pertains to things not working out in a situation like this, it's one of those situations where I'm going to need to try to do better than I've been doing. I gotta be able to get into this head of mine and work around it. And so it's cool in a sense that if the challenge is in front of me that the Lord wants me to take on, or if He has some other avenue He wants me to take on, that's great. The management of anxiety, I guess, has been the goal these last couple of days. The management of stress and circumstances as the crisis arrives has been the theme of what we're doing on the channel. So it's really one of those situations where I'm just looking for the Lord to try to work on my temperament so I don't retrace back into negative spaces where I can't really function at all, or retrace back to where I've been that led me get into this space. And the things that I just saw online that looked as if they had no positivity would normally do that, probably will do that if I don't address it. So that's what this is, the deterring mindset where you say, I didn't see what I needed, I'm ready to quit. That's very strong within myself, in a sense that I'm frustrated with what I'm looking at, I can't focus, all that stuff I used to tell y'all about. That's what usually happens in situations like this. And I went into a situation where my mind did that thing where I just go, I don't want to no more, and I stopped and put my hands behind my head, relaxed, said a prayer, and the Lord said, why don't you talk to somebody about this? That was the voice that came to my head as I was sitting there thinking about these things and trying to manage myself. Going into my little prayer space, the Lord said, why don't you talk to somebody about this? And so I was like, who do you want me to talk to, Lord? Like, well, who am I calling? And then I just went to reach for my phone, and of course, here I am. He turned on the camera and talked to you. So that's really what it is, man. I love how consistent I feel to put content on, am in regards to putting content. I believe that is a good intention, but I don't know that giving you guys content in place of doing what needs to be done in my life is probably the right move outside of what I'm feeling. You understand what I'm saying? I know there are people on the other side of this thing who are paying close attention to what I'm doing, so me updating you guys is relevant. And I want to, but it's not just that I want to. At this point, I feel like it's a coping mechanism. At this point, I feel like I need to turn on the camera to get this out in order to function. And so it's gotten a little different around here. And for me, it's like everything in my spirit is just telling me, relax. It's two things that came to me last night while I was praying. First of all, when I told you guys that I wasn't having a very spiritual day, when I prayed about it, the Lord said something along the lines of, I was slightly offended by that. He was like, as close as we've been, I was slightly offended by that, because at the end of the day, you didn't feel like you were going into the spirit because you stayed in the spirit. You didn't feel like you were having a spiritual day because we never walked away from each other. It's not that you weren't having a spiritual day, it's that you weren't initially coming to the spirit because you were in it. I wasn't away, I was closer. And that's what the Lord was telling me. He was like, it's not going to feel the same because the absence of me never took place. So therefore, the entrance of my spirit never actually occurred. You're used to me entering your life after not being there. You're not used to me never leaving you as it pertains to your intentions. So that's what he was telling me. He was like, that therapy session I did yesterday where I was telling you guys I wasn't having a spiritual day. He said that was a therapy session he put in my heart to give you guys. He was right there with me. So that was one of the things that came to me. And the other thing, I think I probably forgot it, but that was one of the things that came to me very, very distinctively, like, yo, you were having a spiritual day. In fact, you're having a spiritual era of your life, and there's no moment in this part of your life where I'm not going to be with you, because that's exactly what you need. So I want to encourage you guys to understand that that's the message he gave to me, and I'm pretty certain that's the message he wants to give to you. I was not necessarily wrong. I truly believe that the Lord wasn't quite with me as close. I was getting more irritable about certain things. I was a bit more secular in my mindset as it pertains to what I was surveying. And I just didn't think that I was in that spirit where I'm saying all of the prayerful things. But not too long after I said that, I got right back into it. And so that's why I know that things are different now as it pertains to my relationship with God and what's going to be required for me to continue to my day-to-day. How do I not revamp back into old ways and staying close to God and allowing him to suggest these things to me? Show me how to break those patterns. As I told you once before in a random video I made not too long ago, I said patterns are meant to be broken. And even though you have those patterns or you see patterns, at some point in time they may deviate depending on the circumstances or environment or whatever. And it's just, that deviation may be a positive thing depending on what that pattern is. And I think we're in a space where I'm ready to see the pattern that I've been in that causes me to stay in isolation break. Not that I'm any closer to being conditioned against it, because obviously it's what I'm most used to, severely used to. But at the same time, it's like the breakaway prayers, of course, that I've been telling you about praying, should help me with that. And I've been praying a lot about those. So, just looking to break away from anything that would otherwise held me bound, whether it be something in my mindset, ego, choices that I've been married to keep my determination close to what I'm doing. that determination sometimes go too far, just like anything else that's awry in the brain. You have a point of view and then you take it to the extreme. That's kind of how that goes with a lot of the things that I do. And those things ultimately end up hurting me in some cases. And this would be that. So I don't want to be closed to anything that he wants me to do. I want to open my heart, break the cycle of not being willing, break the cycle of looking at things as if I'm a psychic. Because that's been the newest breakthrough for me. It's like, yo, you may have confidence in your ability to anticipate certain things based on what you've seen, but you cannot anticipate certain things based on God's will. And because he may have a different will or want to break a pattern today or something like that, could determine what it is in regards to how accurate I feel like I am when assessing what he wants to do. So I don't know what he wants to do, but every time I go into the spirit with worry, he comes back around and tells me to relax. That's essentially what I'm telling you, even in the presence of this circumstance. And there's never a point in my mindset where I lose sight of the fact that this is a very simple problem to fix if the funds are in place. Not to say that I would be able to find shelter immediately based on my circumstance, but if the Lord wants to provide me what it is that I need, it shouldn't be much for me to lay my head down in a safe space. And what he's essentially saying is that is something that he is in control of, even though he's aligned it to make it look as if he's not. That he is in control should be something I'd be excited about. This is what he told me more than once in this situation. And so it's the same thing he's telling me to tell y'all. He's not going to put anything in my life that he didn't already have written before it actually takes place. That's the trust I have to apply in order to really get through this. It's like it's meant for it to go a certain way, just like everything else has been meant to go a certain way. And if you lean on your faith in the right way, you'll be able to have the temperament to get through these moments that feel like there's no way for you to get through it. Because I've been through situations where I didn't think I can get through it. The worry was there. I handled it both this way and that way and saw the results of both. And it just doesn't help to do it the other way when you're stressed out and not leaving the Lord any room to suggest it within you the hope that may be possible. You know what I mean? Suggest within you the temperament that would otherwise allow you to accept and live within your situation. Allow you to take the proper steps to have the temperament to do what otherwise you would not really have the temperament to do. And I think about people who have children in these situations, which is why I'm not sitting here saying this should be there for me. No, it's the same thing I said last week. These things should be there for everyone, but especially those who have moral responsibilities. And so it is what it is. I understand that this becomes a situation where, because I don't have other things attached to my name, I may not qualify. And that speaks to an understanding that it's difficult to, I think the word is vet, who all really needs what the most, so they just go with what makes sense based on the numbers and things of that nature. And so it's a weird situation where it's almost like you should probably tell people you are part of the LGBT community to get yourself involved in some of these services. It's literally that simple. Like, if I go around just tell people, yo, that's what I'm about, what they gonna tell me I'm not? Only I know that. And so it gets to a point where it's like, damn, what they gonna make me kiss somebody in front of them to prove it? How does that work? You know what I mean? So I just look at that situation. I go, I love the fact that they have services all to their own for safety reasons, if nothing else. Literally, for safety reasons. Keeps the haters that are angry and stressed away from people they otherwise hate, naturally, just by the way of the culture that we engage in. They should have their own services. That's the end of the thought. I don't think I even have anything else to say. I really do believe they should have their own services. But at the same time, I'm gonna need my own services too. So that's really what it is, man. I appreciate that I see battered women's services, people who have circumstances that I'm not a part of. I'm coming out of a peaceful home that I created for myself. So never will I sit up here and say people who need more based on the circumstances that were less peaceful should take a back seat to me leaving my peaceful space. That's not in my heart. No. I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way at all. And so then it becomes a situation where I'm like, all right, Lord, This is the same mentality that kept me from wanting to get unemployment checks. It's the same mentality that kept me from wanting to handle certain businesses that I thought I didn't deserve the right things. It's all of that is how I convince myself not to get things that I actually need. Put everybody first, end up with nothing, can't give nobody nothing. Need something from somebody else to help you. It's like, nah, that doesn't work either. I got to love others, get for self, and then apply the compassion to the circumstances I like. But while I'm on the ground, I gotta get up off it. I can do nothing for anybody on the ground. And so that has to take precedence over they need it more than me, they need it more than me, they need it more than me. Everybody needs everything more than me. If I don't want to occupy space, I know what to do. You know what I'm saying? But as long as I want to survive, I got to eat and I got to take for my belly. So it just becomes a situation where the mental illness needs to get out the way so that I can survive the circumstance. And the only way I'm going to really deal with that properly is to just continue to bull through the red, as I used to call it. Just like when I was working, and I told you guys I was going through that whole stressful time, not really happy working, but still waiting on the shares to explode so I can never have to work again. All that stuff I was dealing with. When it got to a point where it was too much for me, I was in what I called the red, where I'm just sitting in a space that's rupturing my brain. It's not getting better, it's getting much worse. My temperament gets worse. And then from there, I'm just sitting there waiting to snap till I can't even do it no more. What I'm telling you is, I don't think I'm in the red right now. I don't think it's the red, but it's going to become it very soon as these days approach and nothing manifests. It's just how it goes a lot of times for me. Now, I'm engaging in much better energy. Obviously, these practices, art, all these different things, these outlets is cool, but I think that the stress level itself, because of the reality of the circumstance, makes it so that it requires more to deal with it based on the heightened level of the stress itself. So while I've been dealing with all types of stress, I ain't never dealt with nothing like this, so it's different. So it's, I guess for me, it's like when you're really in a disadvantaged position, like I've allowed myself to be in, where all of the different things that I would need to fix myself are not present. Job, no. Credit, car, no. It's like everything I need is not there. I need a lot more help than I'm telling people I need. And I think it's one of them situations where I guess that's what I'm telling you all. It's like, yo, it's not quite possible for me to do everything I need to do without the support that I'm saying I can't find. There's a very good chance that I may not have anywhere to go 12 days from now when the sheriffs knock on the door. And the reality is, with every passing hour I'm not able to get anything done here, the more likelihood that becomes my reality. And that is definitely the red. And so what I want to tell people is, I'm ready to pray prayers that'll help me embrace that moment. Just like I'm ready to pray prayers that'll help me embrace even worse ones than that. And I want to encourage everybody to understand that that is the defense against these circumstances sometimes. When you absolutely realize that you don't have what people would consider any hope, that's when you got to go into your mindset and start rewiring what you need in regards to what your realities are. You start going into your brain and start going to the acceptance phase of things. And then start conditioning yourself for what would be required to adapt to what's next. If I'm going to be in prison for the rest of my life, now I need to condition myself to want certain things that are only in the parameters of this place. I can't speak to that. That's in the red for me. That's something I'm trying to avoid at all costs. But the point is, if I were forced to face that, my challenge would be to survive it just like anything else. And in doing so, it's about wanting what you can do within the place that you're in and trying your best to have your faith and your ambition lead you to the best possible reality within the places that you're in if you're bound. Because sometimes unfortunately, not all of us get a chance to be free. Some of us live in slavery or in bondage all life long. And there has to be some way for us to get from this generation to the next so you can put forth the life that you are going to give, so that others will be free on your behalf. That's what living does. You don't know what's going to happen. For all you know, there's going to be a law 15 years from now that revamps the entire prison system or something. It may make it so that your quarters are different. You got to believe in something that maybe isn't necessarily visually possible right now. And so that's what I encourage everybody who's in bondage to do, man. I don't want you guys to look at what I'm saying, see me asking for help, and then see me say the help ain't there and now it's bad, that's it. No, there's still more learning to do for all of us. There's a thing to do when the help ain't there. There's a thing to do when it's time to go outside and you ain't got nothing else. There's a thing to do when you're stuck on the street and now you got to figure out how to survive night to night, get a shower night to night. They're all conditionings of the mind and all conditionings of reality and embracing trauma. All of these different things that may be in your path that may have either already been faced or you have to be facing now or later. And we don't want to get to a point where we just don't have nothing to give our lives. We want to take what's coming at us and we want to give it what we can give it. We want to survive that. Life ain't permanent. No matter what you are faced with, you will be relieved of it when the Lord is ready for you to go home. And when you go home, he will make you feel a lot better about the life you've lived, no matter how bad it went, so long as you keep close to him throughout it. And so that's what I want to tell people going through what I'm going through or going through worse. It does get better, and it starts with you. And you are going to find a way through your circumstance because you have the tools. It was written for you to do it, and you will have the help because I'm praying for it now. You are not alone. This is not something you have to do by yourself. You have support, and that support is here. You understand what I'm saying? It's here, right in this camera. I am in a crisis. I empathize with you. I am in a crisis, and I'm thinking about you. You are not alone, friend. I got God telling me to consider giving you the encouragement we need, because I know I'm going to use it. We need to push forward and relax in the presence of great stress, not as a means of relapsing into spaces that don't help you, but as a means of breathing, being calm, and letting your circumstance come to you in terms of solutions. Let your circumstance be as it is in terms of acceptance. Let your circumstance be as it is in terms of making it the best moment of your life to get you closer to the God that created you, that wants to know you better, And that's what I'm here to tell you. There's a God that wants to know me better, and he wants me to understand that he is getting to know me better, and I don't have to look for the same cues to understand when I'm feeling spiritual. I don't have to look for the same cues to know when he's ready to speak to me. I ain't got to look for the same motivation to follow his word, because he's making it easier to do so, and it ain't going to feel like no deviation from normalcy, because this is now normalcy. I prayed a great deal of prayers when I wasn't going through nothing, when I was in bad spaces. Even when I wasn't living right, I was still keeping the practice of prayer, and because of it, now he's giving me everything I need to fill this void that would otherwise be in place without this outlet. He didn't let me come on here and just vent about how things are bad. He came on here and told me people are going through something, and I'm gonna get y'all all through it, and you need to tell those specific people that I'm gonna get them through it. You need to let your followers and the people who clicked on this video know that beyond the shadow of a doubt, this is not an accident. Brandon is in this crisis because he has to feel what he's feeling to tell you what he's telling you every single video. That's what he's telling me to tell you. I'm hearing it like I'm saying it. I'm going through these troubles because he wants you guys to know that there is a solution to your troubles, that there's a solution to the conditioning you have to face, that even if you're at a position where you don't have what you need and you don't feel like there's even anything equipped to provide you specifically what you need, and God gave you what you need, and he will create it because of you, if nothing else. They will know of people like you because of you, and you will do what you need to do to get what you need. And if it ain't there, then he will be there in its stead to make it so that you do what you need to do to live your life long. Live your life out. Take yourself to the elevated spot that you're dreaming of becoming, and he will give you new dreams as well from within these spaces. You will have new goals from which to reach for now that he's put you in this position. You will have a new strength about you that is conditioned for what it is, that is now unknown in terms of stress level, unknown in terms of focus requirements, unknown in terms of a temperament requirements. You don't have those levels yet, but now that you're going through this, you're going to get them, I bet. And the Lord has always told me, he was like, you are somebody who knows me. You know me. So don't act like you don't when you go through crisis. Don't act like you don't when you're feeling a certain way. Don't act like you don't when you feel tempted. Go to me. And that's what he's telling me right now. Go to me. And he's telling you the same thing. So that's what I did, man. I looked at all the stuff that the world showed me. I saw all the negativity within my circumstance that would deter me from believing I got any help coming. And I took that and I said, God, I am feeling what the world is giving me. I am in a space where the fear is in there. I am in a space where I'm going to need you to come in. And that's exactly what he did. He said, talk to somebody. Get this out. Relax first and then get this out. And the relax didn't last. 25 seconds of me putting my head behind my head, my hands behind my head, just to say a few words of thank you, and then proceeded to understand what it was he wanted me to do. What I want me to do, though, is to be able to react to these circumstances in a way that gets things done a little more than yesterday. That was my goal. And to be honest with you, I'm looking forward to what that would look like, because I don't really know what to do, to be quite honest with you. Everything it seems like I need to do is either not qualified for me or not open today. And I just want to be active. I'm definitely going to go on my walk. I want to maybe do some things that cater to who it is I am, but I don't know that I have the right, in terms of time, art, playlist. I don't have time for that. But it's like, sit around here and just do therapy sessions all day trying to cope with myself. I mean, what do I do? Who do I call? I don't know. So that's what I'm asking the Lord to help me do, specifically in my situation. I got faith, but I need direction. I got faith, but I need some temperament to deal with what I'm going through. I got faith, but I need some other whatever I need. Who knows? He'll tell me. But that's the point. There's going to be some things that have to come in that ain't there in order for me to get things done, the tools, And so, yeah, that's what it is. I think about the situation yesterday with trying to sell that thing, almost getting it done, not quite getting it there, looking at the check that said so much exorbitant amount. It's like, I know that check ain't for me. I know that I can't have that amount. Like, that was just a evil that came into place to make me feel worse. That's the way I look at it. It's like, I'm only trying to sell that thing for $1,600. Now I'm looking at a check that says $1,400 in the biggest crisis of my life. Like, that's just cruelty, don't you think? You know what I mean? It's cruelty. And I know I can cash that check. I can run off with that money, and I can have somebody chase me for that money for as long as it takes. It's like, what? Why would I even look at that as a positive? Why would I look at that as something God put into my life? Somebody wants to forward me $1,100 to give to somebody else, and I'm only supposed to take a small fraction of that. In this era of my life, what I'm going through right now, like, that just seemed like a Satanist type of energy that came into my space just to be cruel, if for no other reason, just to remind me that this is what it looks like to have a check this amount. And look, you can't have it. Take a small amount. It's like, okay, Satan, but look, I still believe in God, so he's going to give me many, many, many times that. And what I'm going to do with it is much, much greater things than what you want me to do in saving myself with somebody else's money I can't keep. And where am I running to with that money? What am I doing? Like, where'd I go? It's not even a real thing. It's anything. It's just a stupid tempt. Remember, I was talking to you guys about that therapy session on the way to the CVS yesterday, where why would you take money he's going to throw you in jail? Why would you do something that you know for a fact can't work? That's exactly what that would have been. And cash that check, vacate the premises, run off into the blue night sky with $1,400. Like, it's really that much money. It's not even that serious. And so what I'm telling you is, I never even crossed my mind to do something like that. Never crossed my mind to think I could do anything like that based on the circumstances at hand. But the point is, that wasn't a real temptation. That was a rather feeble attempt at luring me into something that would otherwise make life worse. That's what it was. And people and God knows that I'm not wired to look at that as a positive. That check could have said $14 million and I still would have said the same thing. Because honestly, I don't want nothing that's not right for me. I don't want nothing that's attached to something that's going to give me a worse future. That is what all of this coddling in this house has done for me. All of this waiting around for certain things without being proactive and getting paid did for me. So I'm not going to walk in or show you the example of taking on losing circumstances or taking on iffy circumstances based on the desperation of the moment. If it's going to bring me worse, why would it be seen as a plus? It's not even relief. It's more piled on negative reactions to the world I'm in, or whatever. Not reactions, but negative engagements. It's like more that's going to make things worse. So I just took that as another attack. I really did. I thought that whole situation was just another thing to try to derail me from being on this camera telling you all the beautiful things that ultimately in my heart to say. That $1,400 check wasn't meant for me. To see my name on it didn't make me feel good. But at the end of the day, I know that the Lord wants me to move a certain way. I know that money would have never came my way. It wouldn't have stayed my way, and it wasn't mine to give, and I'm not that kind of dude to begin with. And I think they were trying to run some reverse type of game, like those Cash App. Hey, let us forward you some Cash App money. that is a gift. And then from there, they end up getting your Cash App information, and then from there, they can get into all the other information and basically steal your entire identity. Like, I don't know what people are trying to do, but nobody wants to give you money that they don't want you to have, especially strangers. And so for me, it's like, look, I'm trying to sell my stuff, but I don't know what type of energy he's engaging in. So I'm rebuking that in the name of Jesus Christ, and I'm rebuking anything like that from your life as well. People trying to get involved, get you roped into something that doesn't feel right, don't even question it. Just say thank you, no thank you. We don't want to compound our problems with more problems. We're trying to deal with those problems, trying to fix them. So that's what I want to say, man. Not all money is good money, even when you need money. Not all money is good money, even when you have to have something. You can also have to have God, and He'll show you where to get it. So that's what I'm looking for. Show me where to get it. That's where I'm at, God. I appreciate that. My mindset is that of somebody who can turn to positivity in these situations, but I also want to be somebody who can turn to being in the red and be effective. And that's it, man. Sometimes you just got to go underwater, hold your breath. You can't sit up here and say, well, I don't want to because I can't breathe. No, you got to hold your breath, and you will. And so that's really what it comes down to, man. Commit to coming up, though. That's for sure. Definitely commit to coming up. Yeah, man, that's a metaphor for a couple things. I think at the end of the day, I would love for my channel to grow. I would love for my playlist stuff to grow. I would love to get back into the feeling of being able to do what it is I love to do again. That's what I can share with you guys. The Lord has given me a good, fond thought of last night. So after I finished playing the therapy session that I did last evening, sitting in my little prayer moment in that little corner where I did it at, listened to the whole thing, enjoyed it. And I was going to listen to another one of the ones I did a couple of days ago, maybe walking home from the court or something. I was going to listen to one of those. And it sure is. My name is BDF 44. Excuse me. I felt that I was being led to find another one of my videos further back. My hand just started almost like kind of moving by itself. I was just letting the Spirit guide me completely. I was just like, yeah. I thought maybe the Lord wanted me to listen to a therapy session from a long time ago or something. Maybe He wanted me to go venture back into the deep old days, kind of figure out how I got to this point, because I haven't reflected on any of those therapy sessions from the past. But that wasn't it. He ended up scrolling me to my mock draft, my NBA mock draft that I did a couple weeks ago, and I started cracking up. I just started laughing. I'm like, this God of mine is actually kind of funny, because here I am in a serious moment trying to get coping for my circumstance, and all He really wants me to do is focus on what it is I'm truly passionate in. All He really wanted me to do was listen to something that was going to make me truly happy, not something that was going to help me cope with the realities, but something that He actually really genuinely likes me doing. And so I ended up listening to my mock draft for the whole hour. I did a mock draft, very thorough. Encourage everybody who cares about that type of thing, NBA draft, to go check it out. You know what I mean? But that's what He had me listening to last night after I had finished listening to the therapy session. He didn't want me to continue to think about the problems. He wanted me to think about what He be thinking about when He already knows what's going to happen with the problem. So it's like, that's, I guess, is the discipline. I think that's the next level. It's like, He wants me to be able to manage both whatever the hardship is and whatever the passions are. And He wants me to be able to find some way to do both. And my thing is, only faith will allow me to think that is even remotely reasonable. That seems like the worst thing to do when you have a deadline and you got all this going on. But I'm telling you, when I go into the Spirit, the Lord is telling me, you almost just are in a space where if you live in full trust, I will lead you toward what you need to decompress, and I'll lead you toward what you need to handle stress. That's basically what it is. It's like, I wanted you to listen to your therapy session to get all you needed within the circumstance you're in. But now I need you to listen to your NBA mock draft, because I don't need you forgetting about these prospects that you've been studying either, because the draft is close. I don't want you forgetting about how calm your voice is when you're doing what you love to do. I don't want you to forget how good you are at what you do. I don't want you to forget what's going to really get you what you need. So that's what came to me. It's like, yo. And then He said something to me, and I'm going to tell everybody this, and I think it comes from me following the path that He wants me to be on, and this is what I will end up being in the end. But He said this to me, and I promise you guys, I don't yet agree. God told me something. He said, you're one of the best basketball analysts I've ever made. He said, "You're one of the best basketball analysts I've ever made." Those are the words that he told me. He was like, and I'm like, God, I don't even know the game. I can't even play. Like, I suck at this, and you know I suck at this. I ain't never been no good at it. He was like, but that's not the point. That's not the point. I'm telling you what I created. I'm telling you what I created. And that's exactly what was coming to me as I was listening to my therapy session, and the mock draft, the first couple minutes. In the first couple of minutes of the mock draft, I'm sitting there praising God for giving me something that would take my mind away from my real, actual struggles. Something that would, get me back to where I really am, where I would like to be, rather. And that's what came to my mind. I'm sitting there in the praying, doing my little prayer thing. He's like, "You are one of the best basketball analysts I've ever created." And so that's never been in my heart. I'm not going to sit up here and say I felt that. I don't even think I agree with that. I know people who are much better than me at this. But I guess that's the path I'm on. If I follow the path he wants me to be on, I'm going to be that. I'm going to become that. That's his goal. And one of the things that I'm good at is to be that. And so that's crazy. I got a lot of basketball to learn in order for that to even be a real statement. And I don't want people to think that I'm walking around with that confidence. That's what came to me as I was trying to cope with my stress. So I'm humble when I say I ain't the best, but the fact that he wants me to continue to have an immense amount of confidence in that field of my life gives me a lot of comfort, as well as confidence that maybe I can become really, really respectable in that field if I'm not there yet. So I just want people to know what the Lord is trying to tell me while I'm going through what I'm going through. I usually tell myself, based on the realities and the doubt, that I need to do more, I need to do this, I need to do that. And as a result, I become derailed from the focus of what it is that will ultimately get me what I need, which is to focus on my gifts, my strengths, and let him guide me toward the gifts that's going to help me really have the shelter, really have the money, really have the voice, really have, you know what I mean? Stuff that I never let myself have before because I hadn't learned the lessons I'm learning right now. So I said all this to say, keep going to God, man, for all the stuff that has to do with living your life while dealing with things that you have to deal with in terms of stress and crises. Because if you turn to him, not only will he tell you how to deal with the crisis, but he'll also tell you what's relevant outside of what it is you're stressed about, and will allow you to simultaneously focus on that too, to stay sharp, so that when the crisis is over, you'll still be sharp. I can tell you right now, if I find shelter, get back on my feet some kind of way, all this stuff works out financially, I can get right back to my basketball thing immediately. I can get right back to my playlist thing, be better than I've ever been. I can get right back to my art thing and get right back to it and more motivated than I've ever been. Because I have now gone through this as taking it away from me. It's just like Kobe said when he was going through his situation in Denver. It's like, yo, when they almost took the game away from me, it made me appreciate it even more. When I thought I was about to lose it, it made me humble myself even more to what needed to be done to be better. And so it's like, that's kind of how I feel right now. And that's also who came to mind last night while I was praying. Kobe. And I was thinking about the temperament necessary to overcome what it is I'm struggling with. You know, like, how do I look at all this, stay in the red, and still keep going? And Kobe came to mind. He was like, yo, not that Kobe talked to me, but it was just the memory of him. Like, yo, this is how you do it. You put in the work. You put in the work. You don't worry about everything else. You just put in the work and live with the results. And then when you're done putting in the work, you put in more work. You get committed to what you gotta do. You find that passion that fits right to what it is that you are, and you keep giving it what you have to give it. And you be proud of what it is that you see when the progression comes, and allow that to propel you to more of the same. And you will get to the highest level you're trying to get to. It was Kobe whose memory came into my heart last night. I'm Black Mamba, because I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. What am I gonna do? Like, this is getting bad. But it's like, nah, you stay on the course, because that's the example that Kobe showed you. You keep at it. You don't let nothing, real life or the adversity within your arena, keep you from focusing on your very, very best self. And the more you give it that intense focus and effort, the more it will become more conditioned for you to give that effort. And as that effort continues to be something that you invest in, so will the results that'll have you rise above the competition. And while the competition's focused on you, you still focus on you as it pertains to overcoming what your last highest production level was. And you increase on that production level, and you apply what it is that you understand. You apply the faith in the God that you believe in. You put, because that was a big one for Kobe, even though he didn't really talk too much about it. The faith in God was definitely present. And when you're in a space where you have to deal with pain, you will condition yourself to be more equipped to deal with all different types of mental conditioning that will allow you to focus on not the pain, but overriding it as you always do when you do so. Working out 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, taking a rest, getting up at 4:30, doing it again, taking a rest, getting up at 6:30. Like, that's how Kobe moved. That's the intensity that he applied to his career and his sport and what he was passionate about. Ridiculous work ethic that I could never mirror, but I can definitely understand because he worked his way to that. It's like I tell y'all, I worked my way to how many squats I didn't work my way up to. I got it all the way up to my 100 set. You know, it's one of those situations where it wasn't 100 sets, by the way. I told you how the increments go, but the point is I worked my way up to 100. But the point is, you work yourself to that wild conditioning that nobody can know anything about, that nobody can match. The Jerry Rice, Kobe Bryant type conditioning level, where your work ethic is just like, most people wouldn't survive what it is you're doing. That Navy SEALs training type work ethic. You got to condition yourself by way of intentions and pushing yourself to that limit and staying in the red sometimes to get that strong, to become somebody that is legendary in that effort. You got to start somewhere, and you got to be intent on giving it your absolute all. And the thing that you can't do is focus on the things that keep you from doing so. Which is why the balance was necessary last night, which is why it came to me to list, Kobe's intention in regards to his memory, or whatever the case, however you word that. That's why that came to mind, because he showed me that so many times in so many different ways before and after things got really bad. You know what I mean? And it's like, you could see that growth in him throughout his career. You could see that growth. And after he went through what he went through with Denver, you could see where he changed. He started letting people in. It was all about family first. He started investing in homeless circumstances around LA and starting getting involved in various different things that would allow him to have voices in off the court in certain things, getting involved in various interests off the court that kind of gave him a little more than basketball to really focus on and be passionate about. Like, Kobe just turned into a much better guy after he went through the most difficult circumstance. And maybe he put himself in a position by way of choices to have found that reality. But because of that reality, he was able to find a new level of intent upon his life. I can't speak to what I was certain of, but judging by what it seems, he became a better husband and father. He obviously found a way to transition out of basketball into all the different other things that he was able to do in his life. And that's just what I can refer to in my own situation, trying to find strength. And so that's what came to me last night, right before I went to bed, or somewhere in that meditative space. Because before I went to sleep, when I was thinking about how I'm going to do what I need to do, it was just the Black Mamba that just popped up in my head. So, you grew up on me. You grew up on Kobe, bro. You grew up on the Black Mamba, bro. Like, and so, yeah, that's what comes to mind. Also, I think a great deal of strength has come from the shirt that I'm wearing. It's the first time I've worn this shirt in many, many years. It has my grandparents on it. By marriage, my grandma, Maddie, my grandfather's wife, her family. That's what I'm wearing today. That's Mr. and Mrs. Waller. Mr. and Mrs. Waller. My uncle's grandparents, my family, by blood, of course, because my situation is of my paternal grandmother and my grandfather came together before he met their daughter. That's how that went. So my essence comes from Lily Faye Smith, but Nevertheless, they've of course, my whole life, this is my family. Like, that's my family. And so I've always had this shirt, but I never put it on. I just felt like it was something that, you keep sacred. You know what I mean? It has my auntie on the back as well. I'm not going to take the shirt off, but my lovely Aunt Cheryl was on the back there. And she provided so much joy and happiness and fun energy in my life when I was a child. Some of the times I was going through some of the most dark times in my life, she would just call up and have just something really funny to say. Well, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. I remember having a horrible night. I don't know what I was going through, but I answered the phone, and she pretended to be a girlfriend of mine. She did. My auntie call up and say, "May I speak to Brandon?" I'm saying, who this? She playing around. Eventually, I started getting. I was like, "Aunt Cheryl, I know that's you." And she was cracking up, just cracking up. She do stuff like that, and it's like, unfortunately, she passed away many years ago, and it's one of those situations where, I just felt like last night, I just wanted to put on a shirt, since I had been digging through all clothes and stuff like that, throwing stuff away. It was like, I need to draw strength from people that I know love me. And I assure you, I put on this shirt. This is the most comfortable cloth of any shirt I have in the entire closet. I have cheated myself for many years not wearing this shirt. I don't know what kind of material this is, but it's the best I got. It's comfortable, man. And so that just speaks to the comfort that I was looking for. Maybe not necessarily in the form I was looking for, but this is a fantastically great woven shirt. And it has people on it that I really, really appreciate and love. I think about Mr. Waller here. That individual right there built a whole house with bare hands. This man built houses by himself. And when I say I believe that I could move myself by myself if I have to, when I said that yesterday, it's because I was able to watch that guy climb up a whole flight of stairs at 90 years old with 2 heavy suitcases in his hands and climb back down when it was time to bring suitcases down. Why? Because he didn't want his granddaughter, the one on the back, to have to do that when she was suffering through some ills of cancer, I believe it was. Either she had gone through cancer or she had gone through another health situation that happened before that. But either way, I don't think she was physically able to carry those suitcases down and up the stairs. Her grandfather did that at 90. I watched him do it with my own eyes. The man was remarkable. Work ethic up there with the Kobe's. Type of honor for his family, type of honor, the type of men that he raised, type of lady that he raised. Special folks, man. I speak very, very, very honorably of the Wallers, and I've been thinking about them lately because they always reached out when things were going on. I remember when my paternal grandmother passed away in Oakland. They came to represent for myself and my mother. They showed up. They're from Fresno. They don't know my folks in Oakland. I don't think they had a relationship with my grandmother. I don't know that they might have met her, you know what I mean? But they showed up as a family for us and didn't tell us they were coming. I don't even know I don't know who told them grandma had passed, but they showed up. And I never forgot that, man. And that's what I love about having a voice here. Because of my temperament, I don't really call anybody. I don't let people know how much I deeply appreciate what they did for me and none of that, because it's just how I'm wired. But this gives me a chance to tell everybody how much I appreciate the people who've come through for me, or the people who will come through for me, or people who just have good intentions, people who've already done it a long time ago and maybe didn't hear me say thank you. Thank you. I still draw strength from your example. I still feel like those are the standards I need to set in the lives of others, and don't quite find myself up to par until I'm acting like the Wallers, until I'm in a space where I have that type of faith. So yeah, that's what I want to say, man. I really want people to know that. Like, when I say I got a good family, hey, I'm very blessed. It's not a situation where I get to cap about, oh, I come from a broken situation, everybody on my No, God didn't put me in that family. He really didn't. He gave me 4 corners of awesomeness as it pertains to people I'm related to. And it's just, the only way I can pay that forward is to take what I am in isolation, in the temperament, the requirements of isolation, and tell everybody on this camera as I continue to try to grow my voice that there are really good people in this world, man. The Lord allowed me to understand that good people exist in this world by making it so that I was related to them. It's not only the trauma of Connie, who did what she did when I was 2. It's not only the trauma of circumstances which you hear about in life that are awful, people doing awful things. There are really good people in this world. And so I don't want you to not trust anyone, is essentially what I'm saying. There are things you should not trust. It's like that situation when selling that entertainment. You don't trust certain things. You trust the Lord as He gives you who to trust, and discern who you to believe in, who not to. But at the end of the day, for those who think there are no good people in the world, that applying faith to any one human being is a mistake, I'm here to tell you that I've applied faith and people have come through and they never deviated from that. So loyalty exists somewhere, even if you are not necessarily finding it in your life. You can be that person. Be the good that you want to see in the world, man. That's the message I have for the moment there. Just be this good you want to see in the world, because that's what is the essence of being able to be so thankful of all of these different people that have helped me along the way. It's because they made the choices within their lives, whether they were in my life or an example on my television, to keep going, apply unselfishness, apply honor, come together to help someone else, represent your last name in a way that reminds people of how honorable that last name is. All of those things are examples that I've seen in people that were better equipped to display that than me. I take that to you to say that's what I not only most respect, but that is what I most derive my strength from to try to overcome what it is I'm going through. Is those examples and those testimonies and those people who did that unselfish thing that I may have benefited from. Or just hearing about what people did when they were in a space where they had to do what they had to do. Those are the times that are going to help me get through what I'm getting through. And that's the example that I take to you in hopes that it'll do the same thing for you. Because that's what it does. And I want you to do the same thing for somebody else, because we will draw strength from one another's example and the stories of how we overcame and stayed true. That is how it goes. And so what I want the Lord to do is not let me fall, even if I deserve to. If He sees fit, I deserve to, because people are watching me. And they need to be able to get through this, whatever they're going through. They can't see me crumble, fade away, and disappear, because that's going to make them feel like that's the only path ahead for them. And that is not the purpose of any of this. The purpose is to let you know that that is not what happens. The purpose is to let you know that you do not have to quit, that you do not have to feel as if you can't do what you need to do, that you can reach the Kobe levels, that you can reach the Waller levels, that you can get to a space where your work ethic matches the intensity of your crisis, and you will not face the ills of that crisis because you will be too busy with that work ethic. And maybe that's not the best thing, because you do need to heal, depending on what it is. If somebody passed away, you can't just work through that. That's a derailing of your own energy. You're going to catch it on the back end. I've lived through that. I watched Kanye live through that. Do not put yourself in a position to overwork after bereavement. Let yourself decompress. It's part of the process of being able to remain steady and stable. It's that moment that you get away from your responsibilities to reflect, deal with, trigger out, whatever it's going to be, to get past that pain so that you can get back to organically doing what you love to do. Like I had situations last night with the mock draft. I was able to address my therapy session, and then Lord derailed, but put me away from that and then put me back on what it is that would be my passion, so that the balance of both necessary to keep me going would be in place. So let that balance be a part of your life. When your conditioning isn't quite where you at to where you need to be getting up every 2 hours to work out, then don't hold yourself accountable for not getting up every 2 hours to work out. Get up every 4 hours to work out. You see what I'm saying? Do what you can do and then work yourself higher. Because what you can end up doing is setting your standard. Say, I need to be like Kobe. You kill yourself trying to do Kobe's workout. That's not your point. Your point of view is to be what it is that you can do in your DNA, and taking the model that he's applied and putting it into your life in terms of your effort. If you can't give the effort he gave, it just means you ain't worked your way up to that level yet. Let the calendar fold a little bit before you put those expectations on yourself. But do indeed give it all that you have. And that's what the Lord helped me understand last night. I was hard on myself, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because being hard on yourself sometimes in situations like this can propel you to be better. But what you don't want to do is lose the balance of that to where you start derailing yourself in regards to how you feel about yourself. Lord told me last night, before I went to bed, in that same little flurry, I'm thinking about Kobe, all of this, and not too long after that, probably 2 minutes after that, he said something along the lines of, you really did do your best today. I know you don't think you did your best today because you know what needs to be done, but there are other people who are used to doing more,
who will accomplish more, and that's why their standards are as it is. For what it is that you've been and what you are, you did excellent. I'm proud of you today, just like I was proud of you yesterday. And I was like, but I'm not proud of me, Lord, because I need to do more. The results require that more be done. He's like, yeah, but I didn't put it in you to be able to do more. I just put it in you to be you. And as you're you, all that you have will be enough for me, even if it's not enough for the circumstance. Because I, God, Him, greater than the circumstance. And He's proud of the effort that I put in. And that's really what He wanted me to understand before I went to sleep. It ain't all that matters per se, because I do need to be pleased with self, but that I received on high more of a confirmation that my efforts yesterday were not in vain as it pertains to them being enough for His standards upon my life on this day. He allowed me not to have any confusion about that. He did not agree with me on two things that I said. That I didn't do my best and that I wasn't having a spiritual day. That's what I went to bed knowing. He wasn't mad at me, he just didn't agree. He just simply let me know he did not agree. And so, I don't know if I feel better yet. I'm pretty certain there were some things here that are going to make me feel a lot better. I hope they did the same for you. But this is what the Lord is making me do. You know what I mean? This is what He's making me do. I thought He was going to have me call somebody and tell them my problems or something like that and maybe ask for some help. But no, that's not what He did. He told me to get back to the content that's the most consistent. Because no matter where you're going to be, that's exactly what I'm going to have you do. I don't care if you're outside in the street, in somebody's apartment, on somebody's roof. I don't care, because at the end of the day, you are giving content that I've put in your heart to give to others, and it's meant for it to be in place. And anytime you don't turn on the camera when you're supposed to, that's intentions unfulfilled by way of what his essence is. And that's what I'm coming to understand. He wants me to believe in His ability to speak through me. He don't want me doubting that. He don't want me thinking thoughts that don't have to do with leaning into that being natural to me. And I'm like, Lord, I don't want to tell people I'm a prophet. I don't want to walk around telling people I'm a prophet, because I can't tell the future. I can't tell them how to fix their problems. I don't have enough information to actually give them solution. But He said that's not how you work. You work on a more broader scale. You don't have to have details. I can give you the lowest common denominator to help people in all kinds of situations. You don't have to worry about proving yourself to be anything. You just have to do what it is that I'm putting to you naturally, and it will manifest. They'll call you what I want them to call you. You don't have to label yourself something. That's another thing. He's like, I've been telling people I'm dealing with this. I got this. I don't have to label me. The label is BDF. The label is B. The label is my name. And so it's like, these are things that He's trying to redirect my thoughts in regards to how I view myself. He wants me to believe I'm great at what I do. He wants me to believe that I'm capable of keeping that balance. He wants me to believe that I'm capable of relaxing in the presence of trauma. And He wants me to respect that. Why? Because when you're in crisis, when you're in traumatic moments, that is really what's going to help others who are in that moment with you. It's not going to be you panicking. It's not going to be you turning to anything other than God. If you're in a crisis and somebody sees you turn into a space of peace, I guarantee you that's going to be just a little bit of a drop in the bucket to help them do the same. Even if it don't necessarily work, they'll see the example. That may be enough. But you cannot have a crisis happen with you panicking and think that's the energy that's going to be at best for your circumstances. It won't be being doubtful in the presence of a crisis. It won't be being doubtful in the presence of danger. It won't be you leaning into the Spirit, leaning into the Holy Spirit, so to speak, letting Him be close to you already leading up to that, so that you don't have to look and say, am I having a spiritual moment? Is He come? No, He's here. He's going to be there. Just keep Him there close at all times. And when those moments happen, you go into that space of peace. You tell that antagonist against you that you have something to meet it with. No matter how big it is. It could be cancer, it could be whatever. I don't want to stress nobody with reality. But you can overcome those things if you put your mind on what it is that will be the love of a greater, higher power. Pray for that man out there and the stress he's going through. These are the type of things that help me understand. It gets better for all of us, but some are dealing with a little more. And because they're dealing with a little more, they're going to need a lot more from us. I don't think there's a situation in this world that God can't do something about. I don't think there's a struggle that individual's feeling that God can't provide some type of peace for him for. Nothing. Even if he has to continue to live the way he's living, what's coming at him can be more peaceful. It can. And so that's what I'm here to share with you guys. You may have some struggles in your mind that make you scream. You may have some things in your life that make it so that you've led up this far with conditioning no good. You may have gone through something that wasn't okay for you to have to go through. You now are relatable to someone who went through that. You are now a solution to someone else. And maybe you don't care for that. Maybe you're still mad at the world for letting that happen to you. But I'm telling you, there's going to be a new, I guess the metaphor is pill to take. It's going to be a new pill to take. And it's called now finding love in the fact that you lived through what you went through. And now you can truly be a solution to somebody else. You are needed now. You are needed now. Because now you can relate to somebody who's about to go through what you already faced. That's the most rewarding thing to know. It's like, yo, somebody has not yet faced the worst possible version of what you just got through going through. They are about to be blindsided by the reality of what it is that you just survived. And because of that, you are their solution. You are their pill to swallow. You are the example to get them over the hump, to get them past the trauma, to get them past that circumstance that otherwise they won't survive if they don't know you survived. Hear me good, man. A lot of people been through some unfortunate stuff. For unfortunate stuff. I lived through some unfortunate stuff, but because of it, if I meet somebody who says I went through that, I can say, well, this is how I got this far. This is how I got this far. This is what I did to get me this far. And I think if you apply this, maybe you can get far too. Maybe you can get further. You went through that? Yep, me too. Yep, I did. And because I did, we now can get through this too. That's what I'm telling you, man. Don't think it's just horror out there. Every bit of what you're dealing with has something that you can give to it if you're still here. Something. And so that's what I want to encourage people to keep going, man. And I think of the strength that so many people who are in hospital beds, people who don't have all of their faculties with them, they can't necessarily function the way I'm blessed to be able to, but they still are out there giving blessings from within their intentions, praying for people, giving somebody a smile, telling somebody a joke, probably making their nurses feel better as they come in the room, probably making their doctors feel better as they come in the room. Like, these are the type of people that have the strength that I am praying for. Not to say that I want to live through what it is they suffer through, but more so to have the temperament to be able to suffer through whatever it is I'm suffering through while still making others feel better, while still understanding that there's fruit in that and I can feel better from doing so. These are the things that I believe in as I've watched others show me those examples. Be what you want to see that is great within the world. Be that you can. So that's what it is, man. I just let the Lord speak through me now. I don't think there's any other way for me to cope with my circumstance, but I'm thankful that this is the way to cope for me. Now my little head does this instead of drinking or going out trying to find solutions that don't bring me any positivity to my future, trying to line up next to people that may be able to secure the circumstance but maybe not necessarily bring me the best light in life. You know what I mean? People who can help me get the money but maybe don't necessarily know how to keep me free, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like I don't want to get involved in other people's roped up circumstances and then from there deserve the worst, be deaf to the ear of the Lord. All these different energies allow me to speak this way, just won't be present. You know what I'm saying? I won't want to go back to my the things that I'm passionate about, psych myself out of all of it. Just a bunch of stuff that derail my entire process that I'm not committed to. I'm not committed to doing anything that would otherwise undo what's been done in a positive way. All the stuff, the workout stuff, all the art, all that gotta stay true because it got me this far, and a lot of it was suggested by that same voice that's telling me to speak to you. And so I don't think a lot of what I've built is meant to be undone. I don't believe some of the stuff I did is not meant to propel from here, but in saying that, even if it were to, I want to be able to be an inspiration within that, because those are realities of strength that may be forced upon us. You know, I think about a young man who faced something a couple weeks ago with a smile on his face and happiness in his heart, and I hope that he's still in that space right now. He lost his arm in an alligator accident. He was drunk, in Florida, and ultimately was using the restroom in an alligator's pond. Somehow fell in his drunkenness, and the alligator attacked him. And I looked at his temperament, and he just looked like he shrugged it off. Like, I mean, I didn't really need that arm anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that serious. Like, that type of strength is like, brother, I'm praying for you, man. I hope they give you the best prosthetic arm in the world, man. I hope you don't even have to pay for it, bro. Just because of the inspiration that you showed all of us in just handling this situation with so much grace and courage, bro. People talk about courage. When you went through what this gentleman went through, and you still able to get up there and say, you know, I mean, it happens. It's like, bro, that's courage, bro. You're deserving of your arm back. You're deserving of something even better than an arm. You know what I mean? And that's what I want people to understand. It's like when you look to inspire others with your courage, I believe you're deserving of what it is that you don't have no more. And so that's what it is. The Lord will make up for that when in the afterlife, or he'll make up for that in other areas. But I do believe that he will be very happy for you to endure, and for him to make you receive all that love back 20-fold. I really believe that. He has shown me already that there's graciousness and humility under circumstances such as those. So I want to shout out that individual. I don't know his name. I just remember his story. And I really genuinely hope that somebody hooks him up with all that he needs to make sure that his life can be as happy as he allowed us to see it being despite the circumstance. And I hope the same for you. You know, just keep displaying your strength. I think about kids who are dealing with cancer, and the cancer patients and stuff like that, little kids, and they got smiles on their faces, and people come through like doctors, basketball players and actors that come through and make them feel good, and to see the smiles on their face. I just think about the strength that they endure as they sit in those spaces. You know what I mean? It's like that's the type of strength I want to draw from when I'm facing my little crisis with my healthy body and capable ability to speak and all this. I am not in a space where I can honestly say that I need to draw that type of strength, because I'm not faced with that type of drama, that type of trauma, that type of reality. But that they are is honorable in the sense that I can draw from that. I can see them do that and say, yo, I can be a bit more humble, or a bit more relaxed, or a bit more intense and staying in the red, or just be a bit more intent on becoming somebody who's more stable, so that I can be good for those kids. So I can be somebody famous walking in there giving them kids teddy bears and stuff like that, so I can donate $1 million to the so-and-so or whatever. That's what I need to do. Become as good as I'm going to be, so that I can help all of you, if at all possible. And I pray that the Lord will keep me in that space, so that if I were to get a lot, I wouldn't start thinking, my life is good, I won the game, that's it, my kids straight, everybody's straight over here, hope the world finds a way. I don't want to be like that, because when I'm down here like this, that's what I need, is for somebody up there to say, yo, that dude is doing bad. Let me see if I can make a phone call, help him out. Like, those are the type of things that I would need in my situation. It may not be coming, not asking for it, but the point is, when that compassion is available, more avenues available for people who don't have nothing, and that's what it's about. So that's all I'm really saying. You know what I mean? I think there are more people going through worse things, and that you need to be giving that attention to. That's the point. I'm thinking about the cancer kids. I'm thinking about people who don't have, everything. Like, that's the point. That's the point. I'm not a person who wants to be helped. I'm a person who needs to be helped, and then needs to become somebody who can help others. I need both of those things. I ain't gonna be straight if somebody pays my rent, tells me I can stay in this apartment for the rest of my life, and then proceed to allow me to do so. I ain't gonna be better for that. Heck no, that's not gonna put me in a position to do nothing but get weaker, and then need to come out of this conditioning. So I just tell everybody, let yourself be moved by the Lord. If he wants you out of a circumstance, as we segue into a different thought, let him take you out of it. If you need to pray for breakaway energy to let go of certain things, get those prayers going so that you can have yourself equipped for what needs to happen. And don't be afraid to pray for worst case scenario prayers. Don't be so afraid to think about the worst case scenario that you forget to pray prayers of protection over that scenario. Because if you are faced with it, you will love that you did. I did that. I prayed that the Lord would make me okay with the worst case scenario in regards to my case. I prayed that the night before, that if for some reason they only gave me 7 days, that I would still be able to walk out of there in heavenly praise and be able to move forward without having any ridiculousness thoughts. Those prayers made it so that I'm here saying this right now that has transpired. The comfort that I need to find, the temperament to relax and think about Kobe, think about the Wallace, think about the individual who lost his arm, think about all these different things. That is what came from the prayer that I prayed to give me the temperament to handle the worst possible news in that situation. So I want people to not be so afraid to go to God to say, God, I know that I don't welcome any bad times, but if for some reason you have it written that times are bad, would you also write it so that I'm not so bad while those times are taking place? Would you write it so that I have the support I need so that I can get through these situations? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be ill-equipped to handle the worst of things because I was too afraid to address them as possible. This is not me welcoming those things. This is not me asking you to provide those things. These are just me saying that I know that life can go in many different ways, and I want you to be with me in all of them. Also, my mother always told me to walk with God. To walk with God. Those are the words we put on her tombstone because she said them so much. And now that I see myself at 1:30 in the afternoon walking down the street talking about God, I legitimately think that I'm actually doing that. But when she told me to walk with God, and then I look at myself as I'm doing over here in Linux, now I realize that that is exactly what she was telling me to do. I don't think that's what she had in mind, but that's exactly how it's transpired. I am walking with God. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.